up to Lion Talk Live. So we love you too, buddy.
What's going on, guys? It is Aiden Hutchinson.
What's up, everybody? It's Calvin Johnson Jr. here, a.k.a. Megatron, a.k.a. First Ballot.
What's up, man? It's your boy Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Greetings and salutations to everyone out there in YouTube land. This is Dan Skipper, offensive weapon for the Detroit Lions. Make sure you all help support Lions Talk Live, Coach Dan, by clicking on that like and subscribe button. Everybody, woo!
I love nothing more than watching Lions Talk Live every morning. Woo!
Woo!
Well, greetings and salutations there, everybody out there in YouTube land. I am your host once again, Dan Thornton, and I want to thank you all for joining us here this morning. Hey, it's Lions Talk Live. It is a Tuesday morning show edition, and we're going to have a little bit of fun with today's show because I think most of us can start looking now that you're a couple of weeks officially fully completed throughout the NFL season. You can start figuring out some idea about what team's going to be good, what team's going to be bad. We're going to break down the Lions schedule. Is it as difficult as we all thought going into the season? Do they have an opportunity to be one of the best teams, if not the best team in the NFC? Who really are some of the contenders in the NFC? A lot can still change, but at least you're getting some idea where this team sits and its presence in the NFC and its opportunity to get the Super Bowl. I personally think this is going to be one of the Lions' best opportunities to get there. Yes, I get it for about 3 years now, 4 years now, whatever you want to throw out there. They've had an opportunity to get there. Looking at the schedule, looking at how things shake out, I think most Lions fans can also agree it's more than likely going to be a two-team race in the NFC North and in the NFC overall. Just maybe there's only 4 teams that can get, to the NFC, can get to the Super Bowl. So what do you do if you're the Detroit Lions? We're going to talk about that more in length and see what you guys have to say about it during the main topic of the day. Before we get into the 5 headlines now, main topic of the day, if you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so. We are 90 subs away from hitting 14,600 subs. If you can assist with that, man, I'll give you a high five and say thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. Also, if you have a half second of time, it won't cost you anything whatsoever. Hit the thumbs up button, hit the like button, hit all the buttons. We try to get every episode of the show between 2, 3, 400 or more thumbs up or likes. Last but never least, if you live in the great state of Michigan or anywhere in the continental United States, you're considering buying a home, selling property, buying property, maybe you have a business looking for commercial leasing or property, go ahead and give me a call or shoot me a text. You see the number on your screen, 269-998-2384. Go ahead and give me a call, shoot me a text, have a conversation with me, how I can use over 30 years in the industry, save you time, hassle, money, make sure nobody overcharges you, make sure you do everything properly, just all the stuff to make sure that nobody jobs you or works you over. Go ahead and give me a call or shoot me a text. We'll have a conversation from there. All right, with all that done, set out of the way, let's head on over and into the first segment of the show, and that is 5 headlines out. All right, 5 big headlines coming at you right now. Let me get that to the top of the screen, and there you go. Detroit Lions, Week 2 snap counts, shake up on the interior defensive line, SB Nation, story by Eric Schlitz. So, all right, I think we'd all agree the defense, especially the front line, 2 games, I don't know if you can ask for a whole lot more of it. It's stopped the run. It's got after everybody. It's done some good stuff. But you know what? Let's start off with the defensive line on this one. Aiden Hutchinson got 84% of the snaps at 57. We've talked about in the past years, et cetera, with him. There have been a lot of parts early in the year where he gets like 90% of the snaps. So this is actually fairly on pace with him. I'm glad they gave him a little bit of a break. Most of these breaks where he dropped to 84% did come in the second part of the fourth quarter when the Lions obviously had the game in command, I guess you could say. Alaquin Muhammad did have 36 from 36 to week. He had 36 snaps. Let me rephrase that to 53%. If Davenport is out, which we do not know, my anticipation is Muhammad will probably take that from him. All right, Marcus Davenport, 34% of the reps. He fought a couple injuries, you guys know. And then Petty O'Connor had 75% of the reps. Makai Wingo had 54. Roy Lopez, 9%. Tyleek Williams had 37%. DJ Reader, 35%. And they shuffled people in and out of that line. I thought they did a pretty good job with it. Jack Campbell, 88%. Alex Anzalone, 88%. Derek Barnes. I was surprised that he only had 78% of the snaps because he played really late into the fourth quarter. They did use him as a back, and they did use him as a defensive end. We talked about that all preseason. It was my thought process. I know a lot of you guys had the same thought process when they signed him the big contract. He was probably going to be a situational pass rusher for this team. And so far in the season, that seems to be holding up to what we anticipated. Grant Stewart, 9%. Monty Rice, 0%. And man, after that boneheaded penalty on special teams in the early portions of the game, I don't know. I probably would have a firm chat with Mr. Rice about his future with the Detroit Lions if he does that again. Quarterback Terrion Arnold. I get Pro Football Focus. This is a side note here. Does not always grade the way that you, me, or some other coaches would. I strongly disagree with their grades on TA. He did get 88% of the snaps. I thought he played a great game. Doesn't mean he didn't give up a pass. There's not a cornerback on planet Earth that doesn't give up completions. But the fact that he put himself in position to get 2 interceptions, did actually get one of them, as you guys know, called back on penalty. I think he played perhaps one of his best games in the NFL. Clea Dorsey did get 12%, and then Raquel Singh, 34% of the snaps. Safety room, not a big surprise here. Brian Branch, 87% of the snaps. Kirby Joseph, 71. Avante Maddox, 29. And Daniel Thomas, 13. Let's go to the offensive side of the snap count as I scroll to the top of the screen. Hey, Jared Goff got 95% of the snaps. Kyle Allen, 5% of the snaps. Running backs, Gibbs, 56. David Montgomery, 40. Craig Reynolds, 5. Sailors got none. And then wide receivers, Jameson Williams, 88. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 85. Khalif Raymond, I was surprised by this, that it was only 54% of the snaps. Felt like he was on the field a whole lot more. Tesla got 29. Dominic Lovett, 5%. I don't even remember Lovett being out there, to be fair. Let's see. Sam I Am Laporta, 85. Brock Wright, 53. And he made a lot out of those 53. Zane Zylstra did play special teams for 9%, but as you guys know, messed up his ankle and came on out. He got none on the offensive side of the ball. Christian Mahogany, 100%. Tate Ratledge, 100%. Panay Sewell, 95. Taylor Decker, 95. Graham Glasgow, 95. Yodi got 7%. Giovanni Manu, 5%. Kingsley Ukwana, 5%. And that will wrap up your snap count there. Let's go to the next 5 headlines now. Detroit Lions surge, up NFL power rankings going into week 3 after embarrassing the Bears. Sporting news with this one. So multiple different people contributed to this. Let's walk through it. The sporting news had the Lions moving up 2 spots to number 8. Arizona Republic took them from 12 to 10. Let's see. NBC Sports said +2, so we're now 5 per them. And then NFL Spin Zone took us up 8 spots to number 7 in the NFL. What do you guys think of that? Right now, in my opinion, I get week 1 is what it is, but the Packers are looking fairly legit. So I'm going to say, if you were to ask me, I probably would put the Lions around number 4 or 5 in the NFL. But you know what? These reporters did not ask me. All right, Detroit Lions grades versus Bears. High marks after week 2. Statement win. Corey Woods, MLive.com. Everybody's got grades, and it's going to be hard, I think, for anybody to say the Lions did anything poorly. But per MLive, they gave quarterback an A+. No surprise there. For almost 3 quarters, Goff didn't even throw an incompletion. Had 5 touchdowns, nearly had a 6th touchdown. Is what it is. Goff was on fire, and the Goff machine, haters that want to come after him. What are they going to say now that he's on his 4th offensive coordinator and still excelling? I guess we'll have to see what they can come up with. Running backs, an A, not an A+. I get it. They had moments where maybe it was the offensive line, maybe it was the running backs' vision. Whatever it was, they played pretty dang well. Wide receivers / tight ends. I mean, they caught everything. They got open. I don't know if you could ask for much more out of them. A+. Offensive line, again, referencing Pro Football Focus, they had Terrion Arnold. I don't even remember off the top of my head. I think it was like around a 50 grade. Maybe it was in the 40s. It wasn't great. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great. And then with the offensive line, they said both Christian Mahogany and Ratledge both were, again, about Terrion Arnold's grades, somewhere in the 40s, 50s. I don't have it in front of me. Apologies for that. But when I watched the film, when I called the game live with a lot of you guys, I thought, man, they are not missing much. You can see clear development from week 1 to 2. And I got to imagine Fraley's got them working even harder to improve for this week and going forward. Corey Woods gave him an A. I would probably say about the same thing. Doesn't mean they were perfect. They weren't. But you could see just with those two guys and how the offensive line worked as a totality, they were massively improved. All right, defensive line an A, linebackers an A, secondary an A. Are you surprised by any of these? Probably not. Special teams, Jake Bates did miss a 55-yarder. I get it. So for that, he got a B. And then coaching, John Morton, Kelvin Shepard, do you have anything to pick apart with there? This week, I would say no, an A for them. All right, next to the 5 headlines now. Detroit Lions seeking second opinion on Marcus Davenport injury. Dave Burkett of the Detroit Free Press with this one. We covered this in a video yesterday, so I don't want to spend a lot of time with it. I want to be very clear. There's no official word if he's going to miss a snap, anything in practice. We don't know. But like we talked about in the breaking news video yesterday after the presser, the fact that MCDC, and I do think maybe he messed up by saying this, came out and said, hey, we're seeking a second opinion. Let me tell you, the doctor doesn't tell you you're A-OK, and then you go ahead and say, well, let's get a second opinion on that. Now, with that being said, because of Davenport's injury history, maybe Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell said, wait, he's okay? Let's get a second opinion on that. I don't know. I'm making fun there. But whatever it is, there's got to be something going on with his shoulder or his elbow or whatever it is. So they're going to have it reevaluated by a second partisan and then see what happens. If he goes down, like we've all speculated all off season, if you lose him, which maybe we have, maybe we haven't, what do you do? I think the Lions need to address the situation. It's not that Alaquin Muhammad or Al isn't playing great. I think he's doing a very good job, but you're going to deplete that depth. Josh Pascal, who knows when he's going to be back? If it is the situation, I think most of us are speculating that it is. I'm not even going to put it into words, but if that is, that guy needs to worry about his health, his recovery, and his future, not football. Let him take all the time he needs. I get Lions fans. We want him out there because he's a heck of a player for us. Good depth rotational piece, but he's got to worry about life, not football at this moment. So good for him. After that, the Lions really only have so many ends on the roster, and there's not even a ton on the practice squad. So what are they going to do? I guess we'll have to find out what they say about Davenport. Probably we'll get a firmer update tomorrow would be my guess. All right, last of the 5 headlines now. They're going to move on a little early from it. We only got a few for you guys today just because I want to spend a little bit more time on the main topic of the day. And we have Anthony from Roar Lions UK coming on halfway through the show. Lions might catch a huge break after brutal Kyle Van Nolen injury update. Sideline report, Candice Perez. He busted up a hamstring. He's probably not going to play Monday night against us unless if he does play, he's not going to be 100%. He's not going to be horribly effective. The former Lion, talk about how coaching can make a difference. Remember, we wouldn't put this guy on the field for the Detroit Lions. As soon as he got cut, he became an all-world, all-pro player. Sounds like poor coaching to me, but given who was coaching at that time, I'm not horribly surprised. The Ravens may have a few other guys. They're going to be fairly beat up or, limited in their play on Monday night. The nice thing for the Ravens, not that I want anything positive to go for them, is that they do have the extra day of rest to get ready. I'm the kind of coach that doesn't ever want somebody to have an excuse why you beat them. I'd rather have you at 100%. We're at 100%. That way, you know what? There's nobody going around the media saying, well, if they would have had this guy or that guy, I dislike that stuff. So we'll see what happens with Big Kyle. Maybe he come in. He's had not any sacks this year, but he's had some pressures. If he's not able to go, that is an advantage for the Detroit Lions. So we'll pay attention to that. All right, let's get done with this. Let's go over to the main topic of the day. That's why I'm kind of chomping at the bit to talk to you guys about. So 1, 2, 3, main topic of the day. All right, main topic of the day. When you look at this Lions, let's hear what you guys have to say in the comment section. I don't think you can go out there and get a better quarterback than Jared Goff. And I know some of you guys don't like him, so it is what it is. He could throw 40 touchdowns in a single half, and you'd be like, you know what, this guy would have thrown 41. You know, if you're in that mindset, nobody's going to make you happy. But let's also be fair to Jared Goff during his time with the Detroit Lions. Did anybody see this coming? Probably not. So let's move on from that and just say, hey, unless you're going to go after, gosh, I don't even know, Buffalo's quarterback, or I'm trying to think who's really able to play at a higher level more consistently than Jared Goff. And there just ain't going to be many in the NFL. We can say what we want about his lack of mobility, but accuracy is clearly, this is 3 straight years where he is just, that ball is on a line to a receiver or tight end or whoever. And it's just, I mean, he completed 82% the other day, completed whatever it was, 75 opening day, and I get most of those are checkdowns. Then you look at last season. Okay, let's move on from Goff. Running back, you're not going to improve. We've got 2 dang good ones and some competent backups. Receiver room, I'm not even going to talk about that because you can just say the Lions might have 2 of the best wide receivers in the NFL. And if Tesla keeps developing, woo, that wide receivers room is pretty good. Tight end, any questions about the backup to Sam Laporta? Brock Wright looks pretty good early in the season. Let's hope they keep that way. Offensive line, I did see there were some reports, and this is about a week ago, that maybe the Cleveland Browns and the Detroit Lions would talk about Joe Bitcoin, whatever his name is, being traded to the Detroit Lions. I don't see that happening. Do I think he'd be an improvement? Sure. But with that also being said, why it would not be horribly expensive, I don't believe, to acquire him. He's still a very, very good offensive lineman. Where would you put him? I don't think he can play center, so you're probably not replacing Glasgow. You're not probably putting a Ratledge on the bench nor Mahogany, so where would you put him? Unless you're adding him for depth, I don't know. Unless the Lions coaching staff says, hey, we're just going to open up that department. All right, so the offense, you guys can have your opinion. I'm giving you my opinion. Offense seems like it's a no-touch zone for improvements. The defense, well, let's start from the back half. Safety room, are you going to improve any of that? Probably not. I think Branch and Kirby Joseph and Vontae Maddox backing him up. It's going to be hard to find a secondary or, a safety room that's better than those guys. Cornerback, sure, could you slightly improve over any of those guys? Probably, but how much would you have to spend to go and make that improvement? Probably a whole lot. Linebackers, sort of the same as the secondary. Maybe you can get marginally better than some of those guys, but how much are you going to have to spend to get better than those guys? And that would be my big worry there. Plus, the way the Lions run their systems, their schemes on defense, I'm not sure adding, taking on a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being high, 1 being low. I think most of the Lions linebackers in 2 games so far have been playing about a 7 or 8 out of 10. They're not lights out, but they're not horrible. What would it cost to take one of those spots from, say, a 7 or 8 to a 9 or a 10? And I just think you would have to spend so much money and get marginal return on it. Here's the one that everybody's going to be talking about. If you're going to improve this team, it's probably going to be at the pass rush. Now, hear me out before you throw the knives at me. I also think you have to take in consideration what MCDC and Aaron Glenn prior to Kelvin Shepard want out of the defensive ends. We all want sacks, we want pressures, but is that what they want? No different than last year or the year before. So far this year, what we can say is early in games, they want the ends to collapse the pocket. They do not want guys scrambling. They don't want people getting out. And I think they're trying to be basically bully ball the tackles for the other teams on the offensive line. Pay attention to that first half, or especially the first quarter of Sunday's game, and now go back and rewatch the Green Bay game. Do you see anything different? They want them to push those offensive tackles in towards the quarterback and keep them contained, relying on the back half of the secondary, this defense, the linebackers and the secondary to cover and force the allow the defensive pressure to get home, causing the pressure. I don't think they want somebody. I'm just going to throw this name out there. They don't want a Lawrence Taylor. They don't want Micah Parsons. They don't want somebody to, slip a slot and get up into the quarterback's face. They want to collapse the pocket. With that being said, that makes sense why Marcus Davenport and some of the other ends that we have seem to fit. But I'll also throw this out at you guys. If we look at this schedule, let me bring it up on the screen here. All right, Green Bay we get. All right, you lost that game. Nothing you can do about it at this point. Chicago Bears, hey, we know about that one at this point. But now let's look through the rest of the schedule. Is it as big a challenge as we once thought? Baltimore Ravens, that's going to be a game. No doubt about it. If you win that game, I think, man, you are in great shape because now look forward. Cleveland Browns, I'm going to say I think we got a chance to win that game. Cincinnati Bengals, no Joey Burrow. You got a chance to win that game. And now you look at the Kansas City Chiefs. Are they as big a threat as they once seemed to be? They're still the Chiefs. They still got Mahomes. They still got players. I'm just not sure if we can look at that game and say it's instantly a loss. I'll say right now it's a coin flip. Just like the Baltimore Ravens, I think it's a coin flip game. Both on the road, I get it. But you know what? If you show up, you can win both those games. Tampa Bay, it's going to be a tough game. Yes, I get those are 3 tough games, but each of them are winnable. Let's just say you win one out of those 3 games. After that, you got the Vikings. Who knows if JJ is going to be back? I think it's probably best for the Vikings if he's not back. I didn't think he was playing great, but Carson Wentz, veteran quarterback, sort of like Sam Darnold, I think he actually makes them better. I still think the Lions win that game. Washington Commanders, coin flip game. Eagles, I actually think the way they're playing this year, it's a coin flip game. Now you got the New York Giants. I think you win that game sort of like you did against the Bears. Green Bay at Green Bay at Ford Field on Thanksgiving. I do think the Lions are going to win that game. That's my personal opinion. Dallas, I think you're going to slaughter. Rams, I think you're going to beat. Pittsburgh, I think you're going to beat. And then you're going to end the year with the Vikings. If they really have belief in J.J. McCarthy, they really want to know if he's their quarterback of the future, they're playing him in that game. They need to go in the offseason having a firm determination. Is this our guy going forward or not? Even if they're in the playoff race, I think they got to put him out there because you know what? You've invested a lot. He missed last year. Now he's missing some time. I think he's got to be out there, and I think you shred him. Chicago Bears, if this season's really gone south for them, which I think it's going to go south for them, they're probably out there. They're demoralized at that point in the season. Most of those guys, emotionally and mentally, coaching staff or players, are probably already on a beach somewhere. They're not in Soldier Field, so you're probably winning that game. So based on that, I've got the Lions in the playoffs, and I don't know if they'll be the number 1 seed or 2 seed or whatever, but they're pretty. They're going to have a pretty good position. Now, I know some of you will say, well, we don't have any draft picks. Well, let's Scooby-Doo this then. You got a number 1, you got a number 2, you got a number 4, 5, 6, and 7. I can only tell you what I would do with those. What would you do with them, Duke Crew? In my opinion, it doesn't have to be your opinion, I would trade the number 1 pick and maybe some other stuff to go acquire something. Now, with that being said, before you shave my head and spill over my Mountain Dew, when we trade the number 1 pick, I would be asking part of whatever trade. I don't think you're going to get some 10 out of 10 player, but can you get somebody on that defensive line or front 7 that's a 7 out of 10? How about an 8 out of 10? So maybe you take the Crosbys, I should say, or Hendricksons off the board. Who's a level beneath that? Where I can say, I'll give you a first-round pick. You're going to give me a 3rd or whatever, a 3rd and a 4th in return, as well as the player. Does that make sense to you? The salary cap is what it is. I get everybody says, well, we can't afford it. Here's my thoughts on the salary cap. You know what? It's there in name only. You see so many teams manipulate it, use it to their advantage. To be fair, when you really look at the structure, the contract structure of some of our players, I'm just going to use Kirby Joseph as an example. Yes, he's got a big contract, but also pay attention to last year on that contract is like almost 40% of the value of the contract, and it's a voidable year. It's there in name only. So it's not as bad as many people report, because if you don't actually break down each of the contracts, you don't know. Jared Goff, he's never going to get paid $70 million. He's going to get a contract restructuring. He's going to bring that number down. He wants to win, especially in the later portions of his career. And no, I still think he's got 5 or 6 years to go before he probably hangs it up. But I also say this, Lions as a team, as well as the front office, they understand where they're at right now. So what would you do, Duke Crew? I'm not here reporting the Lions are going to make a move. They're trading for this guy. Hey, somebody doing that. That may happen in the future if we get some kind of corroborating information on something. Somebody's made a call. The Lions are checking this out. But Brad Holmes, to his own credit, has come to the podium and said multiple different seasons he's made calls to acquire somebody. It's just the cost, hasn't worked out for where they're willing to pull the trigger. I think the Lions, you look at that schedule, you look at what's in front of them and where they're playing out right now, where some of the injuries are already happening with some teams. I won't be surprised if, say, the Cincinnati Bengals lose the next 2 weeks, maybe the next 3 weeks, they start selling off some parts. It's just, unfortunately, they're not a well-to-do financial team. They don't enjoy paying people to begin with. They do have some parts that are good. They also have a lot of needs on that team. Well, how do you keep costs down while trying to improve some of those needs? You get draft picks. Now, will Brad make that call? I don't know, and I know everybody's going to say Trey Hendrickson. I think they have other options there. I know the Miami Dolphins are it's not going well for them. So do they decide to move off some parts? And maybe if you're Brad Holmes, you don't worry about the contract. You worry about just a 1 or 2 year rental. What will happen? Because in the past, even though he hasn't made the pull or made the deal other than Zadarius Smith for some, whatever that was, I don't remember offhand, some 5th and 6th round picks, he has made calls. He has tried to get stuff. Now, do you look at that schedule? Do you look at your draft picks and say, we can probably get rid of some of these picks and get some lower round picks back, which keeps our costs down, keeps draft picks coming in, and we try to win now? It'll be interesting to see what you guys have to say about this. All right, let's go to the Duke Crew comments section. I got about 5 minutes till Anthony gets here. Tomorrow, just so you know, tomorrow, Thursday, there are no special guests, so I'll be able to just go through the comment section and talk with you guys. Same with Saturdays and Sunday morning shows. JDC, morning all. Back at you. Jason, morning, and exclamation point. Jason, I see you, JDC. Go Lions, exclamation point. Levi's Stadium or bust. I concur. Bo, good morning, Duke Crew. Pushing all the chips in. I would. Woo! JDC, go Lions with a Christmas tree. How about that? Dylan, any update on Josh Pascal? Nothing that I've heard of other than what I said earlier. I'm guessing he's been out long enough where we can all probably surmise it's not a football-related injury. So thoughts and prayers for that young man. Let's hope it's not that. Gary, morning, guys. And back at you. Steve, none that I've heard. Attila, me either. Hookadoo, I hope all in means getting an edge and giving Hutch some help. Any news on Davenport? Question mark, Grit Detroit. No official news. My guess is we'll get our first injury report tomorrow from the NFL and the Detroit Lions, and then at that point they probably got to disclose something in regards to him. I hope it's nothing, because I think he is playing. Davenport is playing pretty well the first 2 games. Let's hope they continue that. Johnny, good morning, folks, and back at you. Kerry, should be later today on Davenport. Yeah, could be later today or tomorrow. Henry Moore, good morning, Coach Dan, the Duke Crew. What a team. What podcast. Exclamation point. What a time to be a Lions fan. Woo! And good morning, as always, Henry. Johnny L, agreed. Hookadoo. Trey, what's good, everybody? Question mark. I like our team, and the schedule maybe won't be as big a challenge, as I thought before the season. Bengals looking like a good team for us. KC might be showing their age. To your point, a lot of their guys, that have been the star players are now getting into their 30s. And as we all know, unfortunately, in the NFL, unless you're a quarterback or a punter or kicker or something like that, you start getting your 30s, the effectiveness of the vast majority of players seems to drop exponentially. And then there was Darrell Green, who was kind of the exception to the rule. Okay, top of the morning, Johnny, Allen, Kerry, got to get some grit. Who doesn't like grit in the morning? Pat, so we know how Devin, we do not know his status as of yet. Allen, good morning, Coach Dan. It's beyond time to go, quote, all in. Call New York for Kavion. Oh, there's an idea. I didn't even think about that. Or call the Bengals for Trey. Now is the time, exclamation point. The window isn't open forever. No, it isn't. Just like we were talking about with the Kansas City Chiefs. Lions, the vast majority of their guys are like 25-ish or right around there. But 2 or 3 years from now, a lot of them start pushing that 30 number. Tori, whatever happened to Anthony? Question mark. Don't see him in the show very often. I think he just works a lot. Weekends, he seems to be on more and more, or during the games. But yeah, during the week, I think just because of his work schedule. Johnny L. Hookadoo, I need my grit very soon. I just rolled out of bed. Get yourself some grit, my friend. JDC, Puff, woo, woo, coffee, and Lions Talk Live, exclamation point. Johnny L. Hookadoo, whoops. Let's see, Henry Moore, in my opinion, Mr. Davenport needs a check and be released medically. Open a roster spot, and let's go on to business. There you go. Who do we replace him with? That's the big question to me. I doubt Davenport is seriously hurt, but I won't be surprised if he misses Monday. Me either. Hey, if he only misses 1 game all year, I think most of us would consider that a massive win for the team. Pierce, second opinions are not a good sign. I would agree with that. I would agree fully with that. Let's see. Pierce, Henry Moore, I am with you. It is time to cut the losses and move on. Maybe. We'll find out. Jessica, good morning, Lions Talk Live family, and back at you. Thanks for always being here. What do you do? Laughing Johnny L, cup of coffee and 2 lumps of grit does a body good. Oh, yeah. I'm down with that. Bo, what if, question mark, we get someone other than Trey Hendrickson or Kavion or Walker? I wonder, again, I was talking about it during the breakdown. I would not go for the home run player. That's me. I would go for the player just below that. An upgrade for us, but somebody you don't have to overly expend on. Kerry agreed. Pierce, Hookadoo, DDI now stands for Davenport definitely injured. Oh, we're always changing things. Good morning, Queen Mary. Good morning, Duke Crew. I'm up early. Just need a little grit this morning. Still a little under the weather, but better. Hey, glad you're feeling better. Hopefully you get some more rest and feel even more better. I have 5 figures ready. Pierce, he's a starting end for us. That's the problem. Going to be hard to find another starting level end at this point. That will be one of the challenges. I don't know if there's anybody that I'm not considering in free agency. I know everybody's going to say, hey, why didn't we resign Zadarius Smith? I don't know. There had to be some sort of fracture between the front office, the coaching staff, and him. That's my, just speculation. JDC is laughing. Pierce, 5 figures ready. Carl Lawson is still available. Hey, there you go. Does he have anything left in the tank? We'll find out. Pierce, or Brad makes a call. He has made calls in the past. We all know it. He's admitted it. He just hasn't pulled the trigger other than Zadarius Smith. Hey, more. I have a feeling that Mr. Brad has something up his dollar store sleeve. Ooh, we'll find out if it's a checkbook. Gary, glad to see you, Queen. 100%. Pierce, Hookadoo. Pierce, I see Dan's new break yesterday. I was like, you gotta be freaking kidding me. We'll find out indeed. All right, Johnny L. Pierce, good one. Jesslyn, greetings and salutations. I am also in the camp. It's time to get in to win it. Everything about this team is high level other than the pass rush. Yeah, and some of that we could at least say maybe by design of the coaching staff, you're not asking people to do certain things. The other part is, man, maybe it is time to try to upgrade it. There's Hookadoo. Oh, that was there. I restrained myself quite a bit. Well, I thought you did fairly well. All right, guys, real quick, let's go over to our special guest today, Anthony. He's the guy from the other side of the pond. Let's get his thoughts on all these topics and perhaps just a little bit more. Good morning or good afternoon, Anthony. How you doing?
I'm doing much better this week, Dan. Hope you were well. Hope the Jew crew are well. I don't know about you, but I've not stopped smiling all week, and I love that feeling.
I wanted to talk to you about today's topic, which I didn't run it yesterday. I want to break it down with you, but let's face it. When we bring up this schedule, the Lions' season, at least so far, looks like maybe it won't be as big a challenge as we thought. Still a tough one, but when you look at the schedule, what are your thoughts on it at this point?
I mean, it's a tough start to the year. It's going to test our credentials early, especially as we're trying to bed in a lot of new players on our, in our trenches, especially that offensive line. Like that's the big test. Like you saw this week, they were so much better. It's only week 2. It's a gradual process, but it's making events quick. And it's like you said, it's not as hard as it looks now. Burrow's injured for the Bengals. Like that was a massive game. Now you have a big opportunity to go there and win without their star QB. It's still going to be difficult, but
sure.
Opportunities arise. It's tough, but if you want to win a Super Bowl, then you've got to go and beat some of these big teams. We can't be scared of anybody. I see people saying the Ravens next week, we're going to lose. Drop that mentality. You want to win a Super Bowl, you've got to go to places like Baltimore and win. There is no such, we can't beat anybody. We can beat anybody. And the way this team's developing, if we play twice as good next week like we did from the week before, we can go and beat them.
Yeah, I've watched a little bit of the Ravens' first 2 games, and they don't stop the run as well as I remember them in the past. I think that's where the Lions can establish a running game, incorporate their play action pass. That's where I think maybe we can pull one out there. But being that as it may, when you look at this Lions team, is it time, in your view, to maybe make some calls and try to beef up that? It seems like everybody says the defensive end opposite Aiden Hutchinson. Or do you think there's another portion of the team, another part, position, whatever, that you would try to improve upon?
I think at this point, I would just leave it another couple of games and evaluate where they're at. Because obviously you need to see how the team's performing, how guys are doing. There are potential areas that we might need to work upon. But, if you go through the next 2 or 3 games and like say, maybe at this moment you think, does the offensive line need something else? But if it has another good 2 or 3 games and it's looking good and, your depth players come back from injury, maybe you won't need someone there. Same with the defensive line. Are they going to be as good as they were in the last game? Now, I'm pumping the brakes on the defensive line, but obviously the run stuff is still great. Like it's amazing. The pass rush stuff was better, but we have to take into account we were teeing off with a big lead, and you could bring that sort of pressure and do that sort of stuff. Like, there were a few drives early in this game where the pass rush was still completely ineffective at the start of the game when they were scoring touchdowns. So, just because they've teed off in one half because a massive lead allowed them to, I'm still watching. I want to see what they do against Baltimore first. But yeah, I would just give them another couple of games and then see if there are any big holes emerging that we might need to fix. So you just don't want to put your chips in too early and then get someone and be like, oh well, we didn't really need these guys in the end. Probably could have gone somewhere else with it. But you can always improve. And we're at the point now where I think for the first time, I did say this last year, we should be buyers at the deadline. You see a team like Cincy now, whose quarterback is out for 3 months, whose season could potentially be over, who might have to start hemorrhaging teams. The Dolphins are in free fall. The Dolphins have good pass rushers. When the Bills beat the brakes off them this week, they're 0-3. The head coach is probably going to get fired soon. Wait for the market to come to you, because these bad teams are going to start jettisoning players eventually. So we should definitely be buyers this year. Maybe just not now.
In your opinion, what has happened to Miami? Because they've got tons of talent. It seems like on both sides of the ball. I'm not going to say they're complete, but they've got a lot of offensive firepower. They got some pretty decent defenders, and yet they just seem like, man, they can't get out of their own way.
They've got a Timo Dan Campbell in charge. He does the rah-rah speeches. He's a player's coach. He's like, yeah, let's go and do this. But deep down, you can just tell he doesn't command the same respect that Campbell does off his players. Those players don't respect Mike McDaniel. They don't play from... There's no spine in that team. And I said this when we were in joint practices with them. The way they were sheerly dominated, like, none of their players wanted to come and play. None of them wanted to get down and dirty in the trenches. None of them really gave a care. And that's why they've struggled for years. They've not got a spine. They've not invested in the trenches very well, apart from an edge. But they've got nothing to stop the run. They've got nothing to stop Tua getting obliterated. And their head coach is just he's a wish version of what we actually have.
There's been some speculation about this. I want to get your opinion, and Duke Crew, by all means, chime in the comments section. When Tyleik Williams has played pretty dang well, and you can see a clear development from week 1 to week 2. You saw his impact in the run game and the pass game. While he wasn't getting sacks, he's batting balls, claps in the pocket. Do you think perhaps when Aleem McNeil comes back that they roll out DJ Reader, Aleem McNeil, Hutch, and Tyleik Williams all in the starting defensive line?
Yes, I would move to a 3-4 instantly. I would move to a 3-4. I would have Reader in the middle. I'd have Tyleik and Aleem alongside him, at 3-4 tech, wherever you want to put them. Then I'd have Hutch and Barnes with their ears pinned back as outside, linebackers, pass rushers. I'd do that because I fully believe that is the best way. You're getting pressure from the interior with Aleem. You got 2 guys coming off the edge. You've got 2 big, beefy, girthy guys next to Aleem taking up double teams and taking up attention. I would absolutely switch to a 3-man front as soon as he's back and work that and roll them all out there. That's how you're going to do it. The one thing we don't have is pressure through the interior right now. Right. And that's where this thing, because we believe in having one edge that is responsible for run defense and crushing the can per se, not really much emphasis put on him rushing the passer. So that leaves it all to Hutch to do. So you've got to have something through the interior as well. That's where having a lean back will help. But having said that, Tyleik, in terms of when I look at DTs and when you look at what they do, what separates good DTs from great defensive tackles, like great defensive tackles are really good ones. If they're pass rushing and they know they can't get to the passer, the second thing you do, you don't give up on the play. Where's the quarterback's eyes at? Get in his passing lane. Get those big bear paws up and start trying to bat things out the air. And that's twice Tyleik did it the other day. One was a 4th down. That's a turnover on downs because of that. The great ones find themselves the second assignment and find another way to influence the game. And, Tyleik's not the most polished pass rusher in the world. He never has been. But if he goes about influencing the game in other ways with his run defense, with his ability to, his pass defense, he will be just fine at this level. He will be really good. So that's positive signs for him that, he's influencing the games as much as he can. Because a lot of DTs don't do that. They just rush. There's nothing there. They don't have the wherewithal to think, right, what can I do now? He does. That's what makes him better than a lot of others.
So let's talk about the rookies. You just talked about Williams, Ratledge. What was your opinion? I'm going to throw Mahogany in there too, because even though he's not a rookie, he didn't really get a lot of go last year. And then, of course, the fan favorite everybody keeps talking about, the guy who apparently only has one hand, Isaac Tesla.
Yeah. I said the good thing for our rookies, like when Brad started, our rookies, no matter whether they're drafted first round or seventh round, had to come in and play on a down-to-down basis. Like we had so little on this team, they were just thrust into the action, and a lot was expected of them right away. And it took time. Like Aleem, nose tackle, playing 40, 50 snaps a week. Like it's just not what he's used to, and it took time for him. But eventually, he got there. With Amon-Ra, it took half season. He got there. The rookies now don't have important roles in this team. And I mean that in a nice way, in that they, like Tesla doesn't have to come in and be a down-to-down receiver who has to move the chains and have 8, 9, 10 receptions a game and have an influence on that. He can just come in, make these 1 or 2 big plays every game, and that's all he has to do right now. Do a bit of run blocking as well. He's not under pressure to have to do tons right away. He's playing free right now. He's got his little role on this team, and he's playing with complete and utter freedom, and he looks great. And that role's going to grow, and it's going to grow, and it's going to grow, and it's tremendous. With Tyleek, he can rotate in and out with all the defensive tackles. We've got a nice defensive tackle rotation, so we don't have to wear him out 50 snaps a game. He can come in, he's fresh, he's fit, he's ready to do what he needs to. He can have a big impact on the game. And then with Ratledge, he's on a good offensive line. He's got one of the best right tackles in football next to him. He's got a vested vet at center next to him. He's in a healthy position where he can come in, make plays, and just not have to worry about everything around him. He's not having to be a leader right away. So just not having this expectation on them, not having to have too much put on the shoulders, is allowing all these rookies the freedom to play. And him and Mahogany look so much better this week because they played to their strengths. I said last week I was fed up because they were just running up the gut all the time. They were keeping them in a box. There's not much room to work with. You're in a crowded area. It's putting pressure on them. What do? Run outside the tackles. And they ran outside the tackles this week. Gibbs was running outside the left tackle for about 6 yards per carry. Monty was running outside the right tackle and end for 7.5 and 9 yards per carry, respectively. What that means is you're getting your guards. They're both very athletic. They're both good in space. Get them out of that box in the middle. Get them out of that crowded area. Get them into open field. Allow them to locate their guys. Do what they're best at. These guys are best when they're on the move, mauling guys. And we did that, and it works so much better this week. And then that opens up the run game down the middle. We were able to do it. It opens up so much more. The Brock Wright touchdown, they hit a big run to the right. They hit a big run to the left. They hit the play action to right at the corner, and they went in. The Bears defense was just like, I don't know, man. Where the hell are they going? We put an extra guy over here. They go that way. We put an extra guy over there. They go that way. Then they go over us. The variation was so good, but it allowed the guards more freedom this week to play, which is what they didn't have against Green Bay. Keep doing that, and you will be successful.
I want to get your take on this. I guess we've seen Jared Goff long enough in the NFL, let alone with the Detroit Lions. What he's doing out there as a quarterback, at least in my opinion, it's pretty dang rare. And I get he's got tons of detractors. People say he's a system quarterback. He can only work with this offensive coordinator or that offensive coordinator. But now he's doing it once again with another offensive coordinator. In your opinion, just how good is this guy?
He's tremendous. Every quarterback is a system quarterback. I don't care what you want to say. Lamar is a byproduct of that Ravens offense and the way they have this, the way they're just so good with motion, the way they run the football, the way they put him. He is a system quarterback. You just put him in a standard deliver good offense. He's going to struggle. If they don't let him use his legs, he's not going to be the same effective quarterback that he's going to be. Every single QB is a system QB by some stretch of it. But in Goff's case, he's proven the very difficult one, that he can go from offensive coordinator to offensive coordinator. He can have new guys come in, and his level of play doesn't drop. I know Dan Orlovsky was going at him last week saying, QBs are attached to their offensive coordinators, and when their offensive coordinator leaves, they're not as good. But he's had Sean McVay now. I know he's his head coach, not his offensive coordinator, but the point stands. He was calling plays. He's had McVay. He's left. You've got Ben Johnson. He left. and yet he's still playing well. So he's obviously not as married to his coordinators as some of these other quarterbacks are. He can adapt and survive. And a lot of these guys can't do that. So it just goes to show how well he is playing. He diced them up completely. He looks better under pressure than he ever has done. You know, he's spreading the ball downfield. He's adjusting. You know, the deep field throw to J-Mo, he tried one earlier, which was a bit too overcooked. Took him one more attempt. He dialed it in absolutely perfectly. He's playing some of his best football. And, you know, he is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I would like to see some of these other guys at the top keep bouncing around from coordinator to team and still be as good as they are. I don't think they would be.
So there was something from the Cleveland Plains Dealer. That's a publication down in Cleveland, a major paper down in Cleveland's way. They were saying that the Browns are already starting to look at potentially selling off some parts. That, you know, in one of those parts was an offensive lineman, Joe, I always kill his last name, Bitcoin, basically. He is older. He is a very good offensive lineman. Do you think the Lions have any reason to maybe make a call? I know everybody says, hey, defensive end, but if you were Brad Holmes, would you look to upgrade any portion of the offensive line?
The tackle situation is just not acceptable right now in any way, shape, or form. Jamarco Jones has gone for the year. Skip's dealing with tendonitis. You know, as much as people want to believe in Manu, he is not ready yet. So I think you've got to solidify your tackle spot. And that's where, you know, get one of these. All you need is a middling NFL average left tackle or a slightly below average middling left tackle. Like, that's good enough in this league to be able to at least get by. So, I mean, Batonio's guard, if I'm not mistaken. I think at guard, we're fine. You've got Awashika here. You know, you've got Moody, I think, still knocking round. So it's a case of I'm not too fussed there. I really want another tackle because if Decker wasn't fit to play this week, that might be an entirely different story all told. You know, with the pressure coming from that side, we've been very lucky. And Decker's obviously playing through a lot of pain right now. So I'm waiting for the tackle market to come to me, and I'm waiting for someone. As soon as somebody's available, I'll go and snap them up and I'll give something. I think that's just wise for the long-term future of the team as well. Until you can draft another tackle into, you know, work as your offensive tackle 3, you've got to give yourself some proper security there.
When you look at Taylor Decker going forward, I mean, his body's been through some stuff. He's been in the NFL a while now. How many more years do you think he plays with the Detroit Lions?
How much longer?
Yeah.
I think he probably sees out the current deal lasts till 2027, right? If I remember rightly. Or to the end of the 26th season. So I think you definitely see out this contract. And then, I mean, it depends after that. If there is a scenario in this world where you maybe draft a tackle next year as a long-term replacement for him, or as a short-term, like you go round 1 for him or something, and then he reverts to being your backup, and if he's happy to do that, if he's a career guy here, if he's going for the team, then you try and keep him a little bit longer. But obviously, it's, you know, the shoulder injury is bugging him at the minute. He's obviously had the ankle issues in the past. You've got to make plans for it now. I would like him to be here another 3 years, but you would think at least 2. You would keep him going, because that's the minimum timeline for Manu being ready as well. Like, that's the bare minimum timeline. So, but I hope he stays here for his entire career and we find a way for him even when he's not a starter anymore.
All right. Last thing, let's real quick before you get on out of here. I know you're working a little overtime here. You look at this matchup for Monday Night Football. Where do you think the Lions need to hit the Ravens to have the most opportunity for success?
Best way to nullify any opposition quarterback is to keep him off the field. And that is your best defense against Lamar Jackson here. You can do what you want here against them, but win the time of possession, have long, sustained drives, be aggressive. And I know that's a mantra of our team, but if you've got 4th downs, anything within 4th and 3rd, 4th and 4, go for them. Get creative. Keep the ball. If you win that time of possession by if you get 38 minutes, 39 minutes, and you're able to keep the ball and be effective with it in that time, your odds of beating them go up dramatically, simply because he's not on the field to be able to affect the play. Now, that being said, you know, I think we can go there and duel with them. I said we'd beat them in our preseason predictions, and we like to run the football. We like these long, sustained drives. We have an offense which can score points quickly if we need to. Our defense is looking better and better as time goes on. We've got the secondary to be able to hold up against some of these guys, because the big thing for Baltimore this year is Zay Flowers is breaking out, which is expanding their field and lightening the box for Derrick Henry. You keep him quiet. If this is Terrion's game, you take away that deep threat weapon, you condense the field again, you can hold them in check. So, the big one is winning time of possession for me, but I fully believe we can go there and win. I don't hold this loser mentality that it's Baltimore, we're going to lose.
Right.
Sorry, you support a team with Super Bowl aspirations now. You should be better than that. There is no reason we can't go there and win.
Can't win any championships if you're too busy hiding in the closet. So, all right, Anthony, why don't you go ahead and give yourself a shout out to everybody about yourself, where you are, how they can help support you and find your great content.
Yeah, you can find me at Roar of the Lions UK. We're a group of Detroit Lions fans from across the pond. We're live on Mondays, Thursdays. I do college football show on Wednesdays. So if you want to drop by and talk some college ball and say hi, please do. And then the guys are live during the game as well. So yeah, if you want to come and see things from a British perspective, all things Lions, then drop by. See us at Roar of the Lions UK. Thank you as always, Dan. Thank you as always, Dew Crew. Hope you all have a fantastic week. Let's savor this victory over the Bears. I am drinking in their tears and their anguish, and it sustains me. But yeah, have a fantastic week, guys. Hopefully see you next week after a Baltimore dub. That would be incredibly sweet.
One last question real quick. If you're a Chicago Bears fan, 3 weeks ago, you were full of energy, enthusiasm, thinking that Ben Johnson's changing this thing around. We're going to become the Kings of the North. How are you feeling right now?
I'm starting my draft prep. That's where I'm at right. This season's done. It's dusted. I think you've got the Cowboys and the Raiders in the next two games. If you don't win both of those games, then yeah, start looking at college ball, see which player you can draft next year and waste their career. This is just so sweet. I hate them more than anybody. I love it. I'm going to watch the thing on repeat all week.
All right, fair enough, man. Go have a good day. We'll see you next week.
All right, take care, everybody. Bye.
See you now. All right, Duke, real quick. I don't remember who it was. I think it was Big M said something about the Cincinnati Bengals losing their quarterback. I can only give you my opinion. Yes, they're undefeated right now. I don't think you call them right now and get any kind of successful leverage for a trade. But if it's just so dang difficult in college football, let alone the NFL, to have sustained success with a backup quarterback. I couldn't even tell you who their backup quarterback is, to be fair. But if they start losing 2, 3, 4 games in a row, that's where I think going into the trade deadline, Big M, that maybe you get a more favorable trade. Somebody else also asked, who would I specifically trade for? I don't have somebody in mind. I don't think I would trade for Trey Hendrickson. I think the cost is going to be too high. Then again, he is 30-something years old. He wants a big contract. Maybe you could get him for like a fourth or something. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody does acquire him. My opinion, I'm trying to basically get some Zadarius Smith type trades as last year. If it was me, I'd be willing to maybe pay up a little bit, give up a first, knowing our first is hopefully going to be number 32 overall. But in return, I need a third, a fourth, etc. So I actually have more draft picks. I just don't have the first round pick. All right, Redskins O-line, yes, the Hogs back in the day. Brent, over the hill, gang 2, exclamation point, and a smiling face. Let's see, check him. Jared Goff needs all the right elements to be successful. I agree with that. He needs a lot of stuff to be, put into place for him, but you got the guy for a bag of peanuts in the trade. I mean, let's be honest. They gave you draft picks to take him. And what'd you do? You put a bunch of right weapons around him, and he's been pretty dang good here. Could you say that every other NFL quarterback would be able to do the same thing that Jared Goff's doing in the system? Probably not. There was a meme that came out yesterday. I didn't put it on the show. Was it Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson laying in bed together, and Caleb Williams is looking over his shoulder going, I bet you he's thinking about another quarterback, and Ben Johnson sitting there, and he's dreaming about Jared Goff. And that's kind of the point. We all assume it's easy to replicate things. I can only tell you what Jared Goff is doing, whether it's the system, whether it's the talent around him. I don't know. What I can tell you is he's doing it at a high rate. All right, Johnny L. and John Riggins, back in the day. Bo Riggins deserved MVP. All right, Hookadoo, make the call. We can't depend on Demhurt. No, I would say we all knew that going into the season. He just gets hurt way too regularly. Hopefully, it's nothing big, but my guess is, over the course of the season, he's going to miss some time. Lions do or die, vet 92. I'd like to get KV on table, though. I don't think it would cost nearly as much as Trey. I agree with you there. I think Thibodeau wouldn't be horribly expensive. My thing is maybe I'm wrong, but he's more of an outside backer. Now, maybe Anthony's right. When Aleem the Dream returns, maybe you go to more of a 3-4. I can see that happening, which would mean he'd probably make some sense. Although, who do you take out of the starting linebacker group to put him in? I don't know. If nothing else, you got a good rotational piece, right? All right, Hookadoo. Riggins was a beast. He was a beast. Let's see, Pat. Chargin, you must not watch much football because Goff is a pocket quarterback and one of the best at what he does. All right, let's see, Bo Riggins, Mohawk Riggins, indeed. Thomas, don't give me all we need is a middle of the road or below middle of the road offensive tackle. Mahomes is getting their butt kicked out of him. No, I don't think that's what he's saying, Thomas. Getting somebody like that to be the backup to Decker or Penei Sewell, which right now, I think there's some question about the depth at the offensive tackle. Johnny, remember Mike Allstott? I do remember him. Bo, the fullback, is almost forgotten today. Yeah, it's rarely used, and usually it's your number 3 tight end or somebody like that who plays that role if you use them. Tom Rathman, there you go. Johnny L. Corey Slinginger. Yeah, he was a great Lion, by the way. Slissinger, by the way. JDC, Lions' very own Steve Owens. Going back there. Bo, those Redskins used 2 tight ends a lot. They did. A lot of power formations, gave quarterback time, a lot of shorter dump-off routes with the tight ends, some deeper middle routes. Thomas, if Decker could stay healthy enough at the end of his current contract, I would give him a 2-year extension. We'll see what they do. David, 3-4 defense is not what we're built for, and it's not strong against the run unless you have a couple unbelievable linebackers. All right? Thomas, good day, Coach Dan, the Duke Crew. Exclamation point. The Ravens will be good test for the Lions grit. Do you think Rant will improve this game? Thanks for all you do, Coach. Exclamation point. No, I think he'll improve every game. He's going to get tested. It's no different than every rookie gets tested or younger player. I think in time he's going to be pretty dang good. The only thing I would say as a coach, every week, and I know I've shared this with you guys before, can you get 1% better? 1% is not a ton. It's achievable. Don't say, hey, I need you to be 20% better. That nobody's going to do that, man. But as a coach, you keep it, small gains here and there. Keep people seeing that progression. Keep them being greedy. That's what I hope they do with them. Both the flex defense under Tom Landry was a 3-4 design to stop the run. Hookadoo, we will go there and win. Ant-Man, oh yeah, I like to what you're thinking. Johnny L, I honestly believe that we will beat the Ravens. Exclamation points, me too. Bo, have a good day, Ant-Man. JDC, happy trails. Go Lions victory. See you soon. Hookadoo, thanks, Anthony. Johnny L, night. See you in the morning. Peace out. Go get some rest, my friend. Thomas, are you serious about saying if you believe the Lions are going to lose against the Ravens, they're not a fan? Question mark. Dude, name me anyone who's not worried about the Ravens team. Worry all you want. The only thing I can say is I never walk into a game thinking I'm going to lose. I think I'm going to win everything. Let's see. Sergeant Curtis Schultz, Star Wars Squawk Box. All right. Big M. There you go. Exclamation point. Hookadoo. See you tomorrow. Johnny L. Dream of grit. Thumbs up with that. Thomas, if I'm a Bears fan, as I've been a Lions fan since '68, it's a throwaway year. See what you have at the end of the year. Start fixing it. Yeah, I do wonder. Caleb Williams in year 2. Most of you guys are aware. Most of you people are aware that rookie quarterbacks don't get forever to prove themselves. If he doesn't show real improvement this year, I do question what you do if you're the Bears front office, especially since Ben Johnson is not tied to this guy. Do you believe him or not? Do you start looking for another quarterback? I don't know. We'll find out. Pastor Ben, good morning. Coach Dan, I can see us outscoring the Ravens. God bless those Lions. Exclamation point. Me too, my friend. Me too. Bo, Coach, that was a cringe meme. Yes, it was. It was indeed. D13, the Eagles have $380 million. I'm void year money on the books. You can build the team your ownership can't afford. Agreed with that. I got to imagine the Ford's going to afford it. Whether or not they want to afford it, maybe that's the bigger question. T-Bone Looks, I need that Mimi for my trash talk group. You can find it on my Facebook and probably Instagram if you want to go on there. Aaron, Thomas Donner, don't be cocky. The Lions can lose that game because Ravens are not an easy team to beat. No, I would say no team's easy to beat, at least if they're worth anything. But you know what? still going there thinking he can do it. Brian, good morning, everyone. We need Mel Farr, superstar. Man, I grew up watching those commercials, him flying through the air and everything with the cape on and everything. But I'll never understand Simon Davenport. He's cheap. Great reason to buy a junk car. All right. Any more? Have a glorious day and stay gritty. Exclamation point. Ciao. We'll see you then, Henry. We're going to do Happy Trails, Duke Crew, One Pride Worldwide, locked and loaded. Ravens down. Let's beat the Ravens down. William, Browning is Cincinnati's backup. Thank you for that. Yeah, I had no clue. Brian, Jared Goff is an all-pro elite quarterback. Right now, I would say I would agree with that. Bo, Happy Trails, Duke Crew, all done and dusted. See you next time. We'll see you then. Silent Service, you don't give up on a team after just 2 games. No, I wouldn't give up on anybody, but I'd say the trend is your friend. Kurt Steele, new Lions article by me dropping today on Sideliner Sports. We'll check it out. All right, Duke Crew, if there is breaking news later today, I'll get it over to you as soon as possible. If you would be so kind before departing, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit all the buttons. Take care. Have a great day. Do something kind for somebody you don't know. We'll see you all in the next Lions Talk Live. See you guys.
Excuse me, sir, would you... Donations to the Reverend Moon? Jews for Jesus? Read about Jehovah's Witness? How about Buddhism? Help Jerry's kids? Oh, yeah. Scientology? Or nuclear power?